Hi, I'm Mike Elliott. You're watching Biotech Stocktrader. Today, we're going to speak with Ben Greenzweig. He's from Momentum Events. Ben, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
So, first of all, just tell our viewers why, as biotech investors, there should be an interest in the burgeoning psychedelics industry.
Well, if you pull back the camera lens, clearly everyone has seen the statistics that, 1 in 4, 1 in 5 Americans alone have a mental health issue. That number is often regarded as very underreported. Doesn't take into account certainly situational depression and anxiety, which we know we have a lot more of these days, certainly with what's going on in the world with the pandemic. But you're talking about an unbelievable size of market that is not only battling various mental health issues, but you have another size of the market that are proactively well and want to invest in improving their mental and physical health. So you have a very large chunk of the market. There is a lot of income. You also have challenges surrounding Western treatments that are either not showing success or sustained success in treating a lot of these mental health issues. So it's a very basic calculation of a very large portion of our society that either wants to get better or is currently not getting better under current modalities.
And Ben, could you just give us a quick snapshot of the regulatory environment around psychedelic research right now?
The regulatory environment is remarkably easy, which is that it is approved by the FDA. Certainly, some have heard the term breakthrough designation. That was basically for treatment-resistant depression at this point. So psychedelics being used in clinical trials and studies right now is tremendously legal. And they're waiting for the data to advance their clinical trials, of course, through phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. You also have certain types of psychedelics that are currently approved now for medical use. Ketamine is a good example. You have ketamine clinics that are popping up throughout the country. And again, those are legal clinics that are used. They work with insurance providers, et cetera. So the regulatory framework is relatively easy to understand. What is unknown, and again, part of what will be addressed in this conference is, let's say we have successful advancement through all phase 4 of clinical trials. What's going to happen? What is that going to look like for the patient as well as the investor in the future? And it's not that far off. I'm hearing as early as 2023 for widespread access for certainly some of these therapies.
And Ben, how do you personally plan on destigmatizing the conversation regarding mental health?
So I have dedicated the second act of my entrepreneurial life to destigmatizing both conversations around mental health. The first is being able to talk about it. I have been very public. I have blogged, I have written, I've given interviews about my own prior battles with depression and anxiety. I've also been very public about the salvation, the success that I have found with psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy, in particular MDMA. From that treatment, I consider my depression and anxiety in full remission. So this event was really born from a passion of mine, but I'm also living proof from the patient's perspective that you can find permanent relief. And that's really the biggest key that differentiates psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy with some traditional other modalities, Western medicine in particular, which is you can achieve permanence. There is a tremendous amount of data around PTSD, which is either for individuals or those that have been in combat, which show tremendous success rate. There's a great gentleman speaking at the event named Peter Hendricks, who's running a phenomenal study at the University of Alabama around cocaine addiction and psychedelics, and the early signs there are tremendously encouraging as well. So I'm here to put a human face on the patient perspective that this stuff, if administered properly under the right conditions, can work and give real healing to people. And so by talking about it, by great interviews like this, and appreciate certainly this opportunity, that's how you break the stigma.
Well, it's really interesting you mentioned that, and I don't want to digress, but yeah, MDMA you mentioned with PTSD patients, it's almost like it, under therapeutic conditions and use, it retrains some of those neural pathways that may contribute to things like depression and anxiety. It's almost like it kind of reroutes all these neural pathways, because I have seen a lot of anecdotal evidence, heard a lot of stories about veterans who've used that therapy, and the benefits have been permanent. So I mean, yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff in this arena to delve into for sure. But in the interest of levity and time, I just want to ask you one last question. Would you mind sharing the mission of Balanced Trails with our audience?
Yes, Bouncetrail.com is a division of Momentum Events, my company that produces about 30 conferences a year, including the Psychedelic Opportunity Summit, excuse me. And Balance Trail was created as a way to provide knowledge to the psychedelic curious. It took me 14 months of collecting information from disparate sources to finally come to the conclusion that psychedelic-assisted therapy can help me. I want to shorten that journey. I want to provide people with the articles, books, TED Talks, courses, and resources they need to absorb the information and to make their own decision on whether or not they want to pursue this. Listen, psychedelic therapy is not for everyone. There isn't one thing that is for everyone except perhaps love and forgiveness. And so we need to be able to educate individuals. So as part of that, I run a series of webinars. There are 3 up there right now that are now available for free through our podcast on Anchor FM. It can be found on Spotify, where I am interviewing people like me that have had real-world experiences with psychedelics and have talked through what led them down this journey and what was their result, whether it's mood swings, depression, anxiety. You mentioned our veterans. Had a great interview with a gentleman named Wiley Gray, who is the founder of Veterans of War. Veterans of War helps work with soldiers, takes them to the jungles for ayahuasca therapy, ayahuasca retreat, and helps them with their PTS. Phenomenally successful, great organization. But that's just one small example of trying to humanize the experiences, because there's a lot of information out there and it's very hard to figure out what's right for me and where should I go.
Great. Wow, Ben, really interesting talking to you, and look forward to maybe having you on the show again in the future. As we wrap up, any parting comments you want to leave investors with?
Well, I would be remiss if I did not say that the Psychedelic Opportunity Summit will take place June 17th to 18th as a virtual summit. I know you'll have some information out there as well. BalanceTrail.com is constantly updated with fresh content. None of that content is behind a paywall either. We make all of our webinars available for free after we record them on the podcast. But I just encourage you and your audience to ask questions, seek knowledge, and get as much information as you can. And I want to thank you for your part in contributing to furthering the discourse, because that's how we can help people, which is the ultimate goal.
Great, Ben. Really excited. Can't wait to see the conference. We'll definitely be there virtually, and can't wait to check out the website balancetrails.com. So thanks again for your time. Pleasure talking to you, and look forward to speaking again soon.
Appreciate it, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Everybody, again, we just talked to Ben Greenzweig. He's from Momentum Events. You can check them out at, I guess, momentumevents.com, obviously, right?
That's about right.
And it'll have all your conference information you need to get from there. So thanks again, and thanks for watching Biotech Stock Trader.